That took a lot more effort than it probably looked like, so if you could subscribe, Like myself, I'm sure many of you grew up playing Flash games. Some of my favorites were Learn to Fly 2, Stick Wars, and of course, Bloons. I mainly played Bloons Tower Defense 4 and 5 when I was younger, and it wasn't until 2020 when I bought Bloons Tower Defense 6. Now, 3 years later, and I have 200 hours on Steam, and probably another 100 hours on mobile. BTD 6 is sadly one of the games I'm most qualified to talk about. And some of you must be thinking that there's no way that a Flash game where you place monkeys that pop balloons to stop them from getting to the end of the track is mechanically complex enough to warrant putting 300 hours into it. And it's not. Definitely not. But it is a lot deeper than you probably think it is, though. Take this guy for example, the simple dart monkey. While on the surface, this is the cheapest and weakest tower in the whole game. Hidden underneath, however, is by far the most important tower in this entire game. There's several reasons why the dart monkey is so special. First and foremost is the price. Because this monkey is so cheap, it is essential to surviving some of the earlier rounds on some of the harder maps. And to expand on the tower's early game potential, there is a monkey knowledge point that... Oh, right, I never explained monkey knowledge. It's just a skill tree that gives you buffs every game, except for sometimes. There's a monkey knowledge point that gives you a free dart monkey at the beginning of every game. This allows you to save up for a slightly stronger starting tower without leaking as many lives. Adding on to this, having a good early game camo detection with bottom path, popping power with middle path, and the ability to destroy lead with top path makes the dart monkey an early game beast. But I'm not done, because the dart monkey is one of the most important late game towers as well. After you've amassed an army of dart monkeys, you can fuse them all together into one super tower called a paragon. The paragon is then given a degree based on the cost of tower sacrificed, total pop count, income generated, the number of upgrades, as well as a few other more niche statistics. Suffice it to say, the dart monkey's a pretty important guy. But obviously, screens like this aren't created by the dart monkey alone. There's a whole roster of monkeys that buff and combo with each other in different ways. Like putting 6 druids together for big buffs, ultra boosting a farm for more bananas, or using an energizer to level up your hero faster. And that brings me to the main gimmick of BTD 6, the heroes. You may have heard of Quincy, son of Quincy, but if not, here he is. Quincy is a hero, which is basically just a special tower. You place them down at the beginning of the game, and every round they gain experience points and level up. Leveling up gives them access to buffs and new abilities. So TLDR, they get stronger without you needing to upgrade them. Heroes are a fun mechanic that makes me approach different maps differently with different heroes. But I find myself picking the same few heroes over and over again. Rarely ever picking heroes like Azili or Striker Jones when heroes like Sada, Benjamin, and Sai exist. In my time playing Bloons, I managed to do a decent amount of the content, but I am nowhere near 100%ing this game. You see, to complete a map, you need to beat it in every game mode. If you do that, you'll be awarded with a gold border on that map. But if you manage to beat the hardest mode in the game, Chimps mode, which stands for no continues, hearts lost, income, monkey knowledge, powers, or selling, basically you only have one life and you can't farm money. But if you manage to beat Chimps mode without quitting the main menu, which is a common way to restart a round without losing, you'll be awarded with the prestigious Black Border. As you can see, I only have 4 black borders, and they're all on pretty easy maps. Getting a black border on these levels isn't very impressive. The ones people will find impressive are the expert levels. I've beaten all the maps on hard mode, but these ones on harder difficulties like Chimps can get crazy difficult. The developers actually had to add this sword to the map Ravine to make the level possible to beat on the hardest difficulty. If you tap the sword 24 times, it will fly out and hit the strongest balloon on screen. And aspiring to beat these levels on Chimps mode is great. But for me, the most fun part of the game is far and away the boss events. These events start each weekend and run for most of the week. They feature one of 4 boss balloons, those being Bloonaris, Lich, Vortex, and Dread Balloon. Just about every weekend I'll boot up Bloons and see what the boss event is. And every weekend I beat the normal ranked mode, but not once have I ever beaten the elite difficulty for a single boss event. Not for lack of trying, mind you, I must have put over 20 attempts into beating one of these elite bosses. So I figured, why not? I'm working on a Bloons video, let's give this one more real try. I boot up the boss, it's Bloonaris this week. The map is high finance. It's kind of annoying, but it could be harder. The real hard requirements for this particular boss fight is that they restricted Benjamin, who is often considered to be one of the best heroes for boss events, and my personal favorite hero. And the other hard part is you only get 5 of each monkey. This makes it much harder to create high degree paragons, which are a must for an elite boss's insane health bars. So I start my attempts. My initial strategy involved using a top path glue gunner to stop the balloon rushes, a sticky bomb ninja for boss damage, and a sniper and spike factory to clean up the stragglers. And after some tweaking, I managed to get some moderate success. Later upgrading my defense with a boomerang monkey, I was building towards a paragon. And for that end, I had expanded my farming quite a bit as well. You see, farming is far and away the most important part of a Bloons boss fight. Powerful towers cost a lot of money, and you need some of the most powerful towers to beat these things. I managed to edge out victories on phases 1, 2, and 3, before finally having to cash in my farms and buy a boomerang paragon on phase 4. And even with the paragon, it was a real nail-biter. All that's left is tier 5. Just one more boss and I've finally done it. But I've been here before. Just getting to phase 5 is a pretty solid accomplishment. But they really amp up the amount of health for the final tier. For comparison, Tier 5 Bloonaris on normal difficulty has 3 million health. Tier 4 on elite difficulty has 8 million health. And Tier 5? Well, Tier 5 has a whopping 40 million health. But I had a plan. The only way I could beat this thing was to get another paragon. So I started building a Buccaneer paragon. And I lost. No problem, I'll just try again. Oh, well. Oh, alright, well, maybe this isn't the time when I beat one. It's 3 AM, and I just don't think I have enough money. Tomorrow's the last day to try, but if I don't get it, I don't get it. I've got enough time left for one more run. And it's not like they're gonna kick me out of the run just because the time ran out. And after an hour of playing, I'm right back where I was. Except this time, things were different. This time, I had a Buccaneer paragon on the board with enough extra money to get a ninja paragon. It seemed perfect. So I hit play. I made my ninja paragon. And it's not enough. I don't know what I'm gonna do. This is my last chance. But this time, I was one step ahead. And on the back of my Buccaneer, I had boomerang monkeys that were just waiting to be made into a 3rd paragon. And even with that, it was still way closer than I wanted it to be. But I finally did it. After so many attempts, I have finally beaten an elite boss.